Welcome to Ready Set RC, and today we are doing some size comparisons. I'm going to give you guys a heads up because there's definitely a spoiler moment in this video for you guys to see some of the size differences between this and some of the other RCs. But definitely the first one up is going to be a spoiler moment, and then from there you guys are going to kind of know how it's going to go with the other RCs that we're going to bring out. Now here we are, guys, the rival MT8, the Team Corrali Sketer, and currently right now, sorry for the mess, I'm in between bashes of this truck, and right now I have the Proline Badlands mounted up on here for my next run, so that's what you're seeing. But it's a little dirty. I cleaned it up as much as I could for this video so that you guys are not looking at a complete mess, and you guys can see they're really close. They're really close in size, and this they're considering a 10 scale, and really what it is a 8 scale buggy chassis. When we're looking at ride heights, it looks like the rival MT8 may sit a little bit higher than the Sketer. At least from what I'm picking up, it looks like the Sketer is sitting a little bit lower. Let me give you a size comparisons of the width so you guys can get an idea of what that looks like as well. And there we are for width, guys. And once again, I want you guys to take notice of the inner parts of the tires and where they meet up. Trying to match them up perfectly, but that's what we're looking at. Practically spot on once again. 8 scale, 10 scale. You guys see what I'm saying here? And that's the rival MT8. For chassis layouts, they couldn't be any more different. The only thing I will say about the Sketer is that we're running pivot balls up in the front with adjustable links in the rear. But if we're looking at how well the two trucks are built, we'll have to see how the rival MT8 performs. But right now with the Sketer, I've had zero-ish issues with its performance. Now what you're noticing on my Sketer, I actually have a 6S system running in there, and it is capable of 4S and 6S. Both of these trucks have a metal chassis on them as well. We're looking at metal shock towers on the Sketer versus composite shock towers on the rival MT8. Big bore shocks on both. Metal servo horns on both. I do like the strengthening that's set up on the rival MT8's chassis, and I do like the adjustable motor mount assembly on the rival MT8 as well. That's another thing that I do like more. The battery trays, I'll have to see how the battery tray is on the rival MT8, but I have no problems with the battery tray on the Team Corali. Wanted to give you guys another angle in regards to the overall wheelbase, but there we are. We can see that just because of the front bumper, the rival does give the appearance that it's a little bit longer in overall length, but the wheelbase, if we look at it, it's spot on, guys. Spot on when it comes to the wheelbase. Now here we are with the rival MT8, the red Cat Kaiju, and this is probably where everyone thinks that this is a Kaiju, but it's not, guys. And if you look at the two trucks, and I'll show them with the bodies off, they couldn't be any more different. I understand that the Kaiju and the MT10 shared a lot of similarities in its chassis other than the overall size, but a lot of the layout was fairly similar. This is a completely different truck. If anything, there may be some similarities in the front and rear clips of the two trucks. Definitely the wheelie bar does share some similarities, but the way the chassis is laid out, the chassis design is completely different. The plastics that are used on the Team Associated is different, and you will clearly see some of the actual webbing of the suspension arms is slightly different. What does look similar to me, it does look like maybe the sway bars that are on the Red Cat can be used on the Team Associated. I'm not exactly sure, but it looks like the bulkheads are about the same, and the placements of where the mounting for the sway bars would be about the same. So maybe there's some similarity there. The wheelbases are different. I will say that for certain, because this truck is a slightly longer wheelbase than the Red Cat Kaiju. We'll see what the widths match up, but I'm pretty sure the widths are going to be about the same. But for certain, the overall wheelbase is definitely longer than the Red Cat Kaiju. Now, the ride heights between the two trucks, the Red Cat Kaiju would look like it's riding a little bit lower. Once again, I am running sway bars on my Red Cat Kaiju, plus I'm running it with the outermost position in regards to the mounting and the innermost position in regards to the mounting of the shocks on this. This truck is currently just running in its stock form. In regards to the upper, there is no adjustment on the lower. It comes stock in the center. So this is definitely looking like a higher ride height between the two, and it's only because of where the shock mounts are and the lack of a sway bar on this truck. So as you guys can see, the overall width is the same. And I'm not talking about the exterior of the tires. If we can see the interior and the widths of the tires, where the tires meet interior, it is the same between the two trucks. So there is that size similarity there, and this was no different than what was on the Sketer. So just going through it, guys, my truck, I've removed the front bumper, so that's why you're seeing that between the two trucks. If we look at the front bulkhead, there are some similarities between the front bulkhead, which is why I said that the sway bar can probably be used from the Red Cat Kaiju to the MT8. You'll have to confirm on your own, but they definitely seem as if the geometries would work. The shock towers are completely different. There's only one shock adjustment on the shock tower on the MT8. There's 3 on the Red Cat Kaiju. Lower, they are the same. They're 3 and 3. The rod ends on the MT8 just look beefier, guys. It just looks way beefier. The plastics feel better than what's on the Red Cat Kaiju. I could definitely say the links are on the more beefier side on the MT8 as well. The CVAs up in the front and also on the rear, that does look about the same between the two trucks. The setup of the steering links on the Red Cat Kaiju to the MT8 completely different. Where the receiver box is also completely different. Servo location does not even look close to the same. Battery box is not even the same. We have a rear position center transmission on the Red Cat Kaiju. ESC placement is completely different. Motor placement is completely different. Composite chassis on the Red Cat Kaiju. Metal 4mm metal chassis on the MT8. Center drive shaft is completely different on the MT8 versus the Red Cat Kaiju. The bracing on the MT8 completely different than the Red Cat Kaiju. Body mounts completely different on the Red Cat Kaiju versus the MT8. Kind of wish the Red Cat Kaiju had better body mounts on there. That's another Achilles heel, is that the body mounts break. There are CVAs on the front and rear. So that's what I had mentioned before, is that the front and rear clips, there may be some similarity there between the two. Maybe there is some similarity between the shock bodies. They both do have composite shock caps. The wheelie bar, I will say there are similarities between the two trucks. There are some similarities there. This is also running LEDs in the front and rear, just like the Red Cat Kaiju. Tires and wheels, as you guys know, is completely different. For the wheelbases, I'm going to match that up as best as possible, guys, and that's what we're looking at. As I said, the wheelbase is definitely on the plus side for the MT8. It is definitely a longer truck than the Red Cat Kaiju. And here we are, the final size comparisons for this video. We have, once again, the rival MT8, the Traxxas Maxx V2. Gotta say, guys, when I first saw the rival MT8, I actually thought it would be closer to this size in comparisons, but the Maxx V2 is just slightly longer than the MT8. I'm not going to take the shells off of these two. This is just a completely different truck. You guys know what a Maxx looks like. You know what an X-Maxx looks like. So there's not much for me to really show you in comparisons to what they look like underneath. It's going to be a completely different truck when we're looking at a Maxx. For this one, guys, I'm going to put it all the way over on one side because you guys can see the Maxx V2 and even the first Traxxas Maxx would be a wider truck than the rival MT8. It is just simply a wider vehicle compared to the MT8. So this would probably come closer to a Traxxas Maxx V1 before the Wide Max kit, just so you guys get an idea of width on it. I'm not saying that it would have the same issues as a Maxx V1, but it does have the same proportions when we're speaking of wheelbase and width of the truck. It is about the same proportions of a Maxx V1. And there we are, guys, just another angle to give you a better assessment on wheelbase. As I said, it's probably coming a little bit closer to the wheelbase of a Maxx V1 and also the width of a Maxx V1 without the Wide Max kit on there. But yeah, that's what we're looking at. That's what we're looking at in overall wheelbase. So we're going to close it out here, guys. What have we shown you on this video? We've shown you comparisons of the rival MT8 to the Team Corrali Sketer, also to the Red Cat Kaiju, and then finally to the Traxxas Maxx V2. Hopefully you guys are able to make a better assessment in regards to the size comparisons between the four trucks and also the chassis layouts between the MT8 and the Red Cat Kaiju. But we're going to leave it here. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram for our latest posts to the channel. This is Ready Set RC, signing out. Thanks again, guys.